I'll make this simple. It's all about...
Welcome back, gamers. In this video, we're going to talk about the ALGS, but not just the ALGS, but how to get into competitive gaming. What are some things that you need to know before you consider trying? So if you came here to join the Challenger Circuit or the Pro League, let me walk you through some things you need to know so you can get started today on making your journey. Now your thing is, what is this old grandpa telling me about competitive gaming? Well, let me tell you a couple things. Yes, I am old, but also I have played competitive Counter-Strike, competitive Fortnite, and have suddenly in the last 5 seasons got into the competitive side of Apex. And when I say competitive, I don't just mean rank modes. I mean, I have played this at the highest level on LAN. So let me walk you through how we were able to get there consecutively for over a decade. But being a competitive in any FPS takes a very serious skill set. So we're going to walk you through my 5 tips on what you can focus on if your next journey is to join one of these leagues to take your game to the next level. First up on my leaderboard is game dedication. This doesn't take a whole lot of time to talk about, just simply being that you need to be playing Apex 100% of the time. I know, you really don't like it. Yeah, the pros are at a level where they can play other games, but if you are trying to get into this game seriously, you have to make sure your entire focus is solely on Apex Legends. And to be fair, if you're not solely focused on Apex Legends, these other 4 tips won't do much for you because it takes time to learn the ins and outs of the game. You're talking about every single specific strategy. It takes time. You're just not going to knock it out of the park. So make sure your focus is 100% on this game because it does take time to understand exactly where you need to be to play at a high level. Next up, we have legend knowledge. And what I mean by this is learning and understanding every single legend. This doesn't mean that you have to master every single legend, but I would recommend playing 50 to 100 games on every single legend so you really understand what strategies you need to play with that legend and against that legend. Not to mention, when you start going to look for teams, it's highly unlikely you'll be able to just stick to one specific legend or a specific comp. You're going to need to rotate and have potential other legends that you can play. We get into the team aspect here shortly, whether it's finding a team or developing a team, but it's going to be really hard having a small playbook of only a few legends you can play. As far as what we've done to increase our skill level in 5 seasons, we have really tried to spend time learning every single legend you can see right here. And while playing these 1,000 games, I'm learning a whole lot more about the legend, the ins and outs. We get to game sense later about how to play more strategically, and so I have increased my game knowledge so much by understanding these legends. There are specific things you can and cannot do. Just because you get fried with Sheila doesn't mean you'll know how to play one. So understanding how to play every legend is very vital. So taking time to make sure you master every legend and every single gun is very important. We don't really put aim or talk about aim in here, but understanding how to improve your aim is very vital. So spending time in the firing range, understanding the recoil, understanding the attachments is so important. If you look at an ALGS at times, you'll see there's just not the entire loadout a legend has every single game. So they have to be able to adapt every single fight to learn how to use specific weapons and specific attachments because they're not always just getting the god loot. While playing, take the time to learn about which perk is the best for each legend. Some of them are very situational, but take time to learn them, try them, test them, see which one works best. Sometimes they have no impact, sometimes they do. I know everyone talks about game sense all the time. What I really mean by this is putting yourself in situations every single game, whether it's using your micro, which is your short-term decision-making skills, or your macro, where you want your team to end up late game, is very, very important. And we're not just talking about ranking solo or with a specific team, but we're talking about decision-making skills on your own. That's putting yourself in a better position to win a team fight. That's rotating correctly. That's making the right calls, etc. The only way you really improve your actual game sense is really evaluating after every single fight what you did well and what you could have done better. It's very easy in ranked solo to always blame your teammates or blame the enemy, think they're cheating, etc. You need to change your mentality if you want to become a competitive gamer, in a sense of what could I have done better. Even if it's minuscule, sometimes the little things make the biggest changes. So don't spend your time always wondering why, what happened, your teammates are being bad. Think about what you could have done to put yourself in a better position to win that team fight. This one should be self-explanatory, but have a positive attitude. The reason I tell you this is there are a lot of formed teams already. For you to get on a team, you're going to need to have the skill level and all the things we've talked about, legends, game sense, etc. But if you don't have a good attitude, it's going to make it very challenging. People were very high skilled at video games than they were years ago. And so having a good mental attitude, give good constructive feedback to your team, Also, taking criticism on your own is very important. Don't put yourself in a position to always be so negative. We know there's cheaters in the game. We know there's bugs. You got to deal with them, and you got to move on. And the last tip I have for you is look on Discords. Look for tournaments to join. ALGS and competitive gaming are much different than farming and frying people in ranked or normals. So you want to spend time looking for those comps. Don't spend the entire time grinding and ranked. Again, if your team is not on and you want some warm-up games, etc., those things are normally fine. But you need to put yourself in a position where you're looking for skill-minded individuals that play like you and that understand the same common goals that you have. There are people that do not work. They sit and grind this game all day long. So your time is going to be very vital. So plan for it accordingly. As always, if you've made it this far, I would greatly appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe to this channel. We're dropping tips, we're dropping legend reviews every single week. All the support is greatly appreciated. We want to continue to get you in a position where you're becoming a better gamer. Now listen, I know all of these seem very basic. The part of the problem is people don't have all 5 of these tips locked in at one time. I suggest if you can record your gameplay, your voiceover, I encourage you to do that. Review back what you did. See if there are any openings or any gaps in your gameplay that you can make changes with. Like I said, the game is very mental, so you making sure you have the right decision-making skills. You know when to peek, when not to peek. You know what angles to take, and you combined all 5 of the tips at one time. You will be putting yourself in a position to win way more games, and people want to play with winners. You want to play with a loser? I didn't think so. So focus on these 5 tips, and guess what? Maybe I'll see you in the next season's Pro League. I'm rooting for you. If there's anything I can do, leave a comment below. Let's talk about it. Let's get you to the next level.